Well, it's time to finally assemble the entire Wyrmwood magnetic DM screen system. I have my setup here. I'm going to go ahead and put it together and then give you the full review. And there you have it. The Wyrmwood DM screen is now fully set up. I happen to use portrait mode. It's just the way I prefer to have my screen set up. So in general, you have your solid screen, cannot be rotated. Your rotational screen, I happen to have a map that I use to show my players and myself. This is also useful as a little window to the table. And you have initiative trackers. Bronze cards that are, they have said dry erase. However, I have noticed that dry erase tends to leave a bit of a mark left on them. So I use wet erase for these. It seems to work just as fine. Comes off a bit cleaner. You can have as many of these as you want across your initiative tracks. They slide between them fairly easily. You have your two-way dice tower, which can flip between either the DM side or the player side, which I seem to have misaligned over there. There we go. So, very nicely, as I throw dice everywhere, dice will tumble out into the little trays. The chest of holding over here holds 4 nice sized drawers, which are also the exact same dimensions as the little tiny trays. I can swap them out without any issues. In fact, I probably will on that one just because the logo is a little cleaner than my current dice drawer. They are fully magnetic, fully modular. They have tiny screws. See if I can get a nice close-up on that. If it'll focus. There we are. These are screws with a tiny magnetic bit around them. And what's nice about that is if your polarity seems a little off on your screws, on your setup. For instance, for a while, this setup that I have here could only work if this was this way, which doesn't work for me as a DM. That's giving my players access to my stuff. So you're able to simply go in here with a little bit, unscrew the side, unscrew the other side, swap the screws. That's good. These screens can, if I can do it without collapsing everything, be used in either direction. The initiative track is friendly with the side as well as it is the top. And the rotational screen has a very nice mechanic in it. The older review, they had a blunt nail that I used to swap the direction of everything with the rotational screen. Well, now it's much nicer in the fact that there are a sort of push pin system. I'll show it off here. So you can see there's a little pin deep in there. And to switch it out, all I have to do is pull it out on this side, pull it on the other side, and look at that. The entire metal just pops right out. And then if I wanted it to rotate the other way, pop it on the side, pop it down on the other side, And voila, my screen now rotates that way, which is largely useless for the way I orient. But if you were a sideways landscaper, as it were, then it would be very useful. Now, I do have a game map on this side. Now, you may ask, what do I do if I'm running different games? Or, as you've seen, I have my own custom screen. What if I have a different screen? I'd run a different game system. Well, it's a lot simpler. Before, they used to be spring-loaded. Now, however, there's these nice little wooden clips that hold everything in. One on the top, one on the bottom. Kind of remove the bottom one a little out of view there. And voila, just pops right out. You can easily take the paper out. Now you'll see now they have this nice wooden backing. So no matter what pages or paper you put in here, it's not going to be partially see-through. The big problem I had before was if it wasn't quite a tight fit on your paper, you'd probably have like little cracks right here where you could plainly see through the screen. And they've solved that with the wooden backing quite nicely. And all of the screens have that feature. You also notice that with the magnetic balls in, oops, I was wondering why that looked taller. You do get a little bit of a gap between the screen and your magnetic pins. Now you can do it without the balls, without the magnetic bits. And you'll get a nice flush solid line, but it kind of gives way. If you try to rotate, you'll get loose, things might fall, shift around. It depends on how much you don't trust your players, I guess. I, for one, am fine with it. All in all, this upgrade is phenomenal. They have come long and far since the alpha build. And I am very glad. By the way, for those wondering, black walnut, that's what I got. This is the DM screen, in my opinion. Everyone has their own choices. Everyone has their own preferences. But I personally think you're not going to find anything better than the Wyrmwood magnetic DM screen system. For those wondering, I will be posting my custom screen in the doobly-doo down below. I took inspiration from a few various community screens I saw. So hopefully everyone likes it, or wants to use it. If there is enough asking for it, I will reorient it to be landscape mode as well. Oh yeah, that was the other thing. On the back side of these, I also have artwork. Since they are all double-sided, I happen to use artwork from the Dungeon Master's Guide and the Player's Handbook on the other side. But you are free to do what you will, of course. That is the beauty of the magnetic DM screen. You can do whatever you wish. I use my drawers as token tray for all my initial tracker tokens. Usually my dice tray. Lots and lots and lots of dice. These are my favorite sets. I should probably trim it down. It gets a little heavy sometimes. I haven't quite figured out what to use the third drawer for yet. I'm thinking miniatures. Like key miniatures for the upcoming section. I don't know. And then I store all the magnet bits in the bottom drawer right now. These are a godsend alone. Having the ability to just write down whatever. Monster 1, Bob, Skeleton Man. They do seem to come off rather easily. Aha, there we are. So earlier I talked about the wet erase versus dry erase. I'm not sure how well the camera's going to pick it up, but you might be able to see that Bob is still kind of ghosted on the token there. And that's from where I use dry erase. Wet erase seems to clean these off rather well. However, as a result, they do seem to smudge off on your fingers. So that's something to note. Wyrmwood has stated that they will do nickel tokens on request. on custom orders, more likely. So you can have gold, the bronze, or nickel. I myself plan to get a set of nickel, so that way I can distinguish player initiative tracker cards from NPC or monster initiative tracker cards. Beforehand, the previous system, you may remember, I had wooden tokens, which, while these looked absolutely stunning, and I think it will still work just fine, yes. Whenever a new player came along, I had to do something like this. And this did not look good. So I'm very glad for these bronze tokens. It makes it a lot easier and a lot nicer. And now I can get rid of all these post-it notes and give the players their wooden cards to keep as keepsakes. But that is the review of the Wyrmwood Gaming DM screen. If you have any specific questions, feel free to ask me or Wyrmwood Gaming themselves. There will be a link in the doobly-doo. I hope everyone enjoyed this review.